OK, I have some breaking news from the past hour or so. So Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, of course, has told his own Labour MPs tonight. He says the Conservatives are not our principal opponent. Reform are our main rivals for power. We have a moral duty and responsibility to make sure Nigel Farage never wins power in this country. The Prime Minister, taking off the gloves, apparently says we have to be clear that every opportunity he's had in this Parliament to back working people, Nigel Farage, he's voted against. Telling the workers at Jaguar Land Rover they deserve to go bust. A state-slashing, NHS privatising Putin apologist without a single patriotic bone in his body. We will take the fight to reform. We will take the fight to Nigel Farage. We will fight as Labour.
Doesn't this show what a...
We will fight them on the beaches. I mean, it's not quite Churchillian, is it? I mean, I think I've been to... That's the sort of Labour equivalent of the 1922 meeting. I've been to many a meeting where your leader is on the ropes and comes out with this sort of baloney, frankly.
Why is he saying that tonight?
Well, I think because he doesn't want uncomfortable questions about his policies on cutting benefits. He doesn't want uncomfortable questions about his Island of Strangers speech. He doesn't want uncomfortable questions from actually quite a number of Brexit-supporting Labour MPs who've come out today and slammed this speech. This is bread and circuses. This is sort of entertain them, give them what they want and hope that they don't ask too many questions. But to some extent, I think he is right, because his appalling betrayal of 17 million British people today has paid into the hands of Nigel Farage. I didn't wake up this morning and think, oh, I wonder what Kemi Badnoch's got to say about this. Yeah. I thought, I wonder what Nigel's got to say about it. And, you know, Nigel and Boris came out and spoke for the nation. I don't want to be terribly distorted, but I'm not even sure of what, if anything, Kemi has said.
That's the thing about Starmer. He has no political nous. He has no idea what the people of this country are thinking. And he still doesn't get it that what he did today will make people run into the arms of reform. Yeah, whatever support Nigel had yesterday, he's got a damn sight more.
You think he sounds rattled?
He's on the road, as I said.
Let me just repeat this key line. For me, it's pivotal. He says, we have a moral responsibility to make sure Nigel Farage never wins and gains power in this country.
I wonder what he considers immoral, because I consider as immoral him lying to the electorate about almost every single thing that he says.
Let's list it. I mean, it's immoral to give the Chagos Islands away. It's immoral to take pensioners' winter fuel payments away from them.
Completely.
It's immoral to put every farm in Britain at risk. It's immoral to sell our fishermen down the river. You know, I woke up this morning and someone told me Starmer's going to stop the boats. I thought, this is good news. It's just the entire British fishing fleet is destroying rather than clamping down on immigration.
Benjamin, Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, with all respect to him, he sounds like he's having a bit of a moment here. He got absolutely battered at the elections. The electorate spoke in their masses. He was banging on about getting tough on Twitter. 17 tweets about migration and being tough and protecting the borders in just 2 weeks, whereas before you probably had about 17 over the course of a decade. And now this, saying that Nigel Farage hasn't got a patriotic bone in his body. There's a moral responsibility to make sure he never wins power. He sounds a bit rattled to me.
No, I don't think he sounds rattled. I think he's focusing in on where the issues are, which are things like immigration. Now, the context of why he said this to Labour MPs tonight is that the welfare reforms are the most uncomfortable thing for newly elected Labour MPs, and because of the election results, they might be questioning the sort of blind loyalty they have to their leader and thinking, well, I've only got 4 years here, I'm going to do what I want to do. And so I suspect that's the real politics of what's gone on in the decision. But the fact that he's also trying to cash in on the moment, which is trade deals with India, with the US and with the EU, 3 of the 5 biggest economies in the world, has shown what he is capable of. And together they'll add more than 1% to GDP, which is higher than any level of growth we've had in years.
But how can he say Farage, the whole core of Farage's existence, his being, is patriotism?
Correct.
That's what it's been from day one.
He's not patriotic.
Yes, he is patriotic.
Putin, the leader he most admired a few years ago.
That doesn't make him unpatriotic.
What year would you have said it
in?
It was pre-2014, I think he made those comments.
What year would have you thought Vladimir Putin, a bloke that by 2014 in power for 15 years...
His whole raison d'etre is patriotism. Don't get off the subject. This is not about Putin, this is about power.
It's Thatcherism in overalls. He is a liar and a fraud, and Nigel Farage would destroy this country.
Are you talking about
What's he lied about?
Nigel Farage, who said that he admires Putin, that he wants to privatise the NHS.
What's he lied about?
All you've got.
The guy that praised Donald Trump as he introduced tariffs on
Answer the question. What's he lied about?
But he lied about Brexit. Are we richer?
did he lie
Are we
about
safer?
riches?
Do we have more migration? He lied about what would happen as a
Well, he wasn't in
result.
power. He's not been in government. He just led a
Starmer's
campaign.
lied
I think
about
we could all say he's been
Starmer's
calling the
lied about
shots.
stopping the boats. He's lied
lie.
about everything.
Well, he said he was going to cut our gas bills or energy bills by £300.
Yeah.
What's happened? They've
Gone
gone
up.
up. He said he was going to cut immigration. What's happened?
Gone up.
They've
Gone
gone
up.
up.
It's
not gone up.
He said he wouldn't.
Hang on,
No, it
it's
has.
gone up.
It has.
Gone up.
Illegal migration has
Illegal.
gone up.
Right, so
he
correct
said.
yourself.
So he said he cut illegal migration. It's gone
gone
up.
up.
He said today that he wouldn't reverse Brexit and move back to free movement. Oh, hello.
We don't have free movement.
Hello. We
gonna
have
have?
80 million people can now come
can
to
you-
this country without the need
How
for a
can you
visa.
say
That's
you're
factually
serious about
untrue.
cutting?
It is.
Because both sides have explicitly said there'll be a cap.
Well, what is the cap?
What is the
Well,
cap?
they've
What
said-
is the cap?
They've said that they're working that out.
Right.
But
yeah.
to be
But it's
It is a
open to
lie.
80 million people.
Well, I mean, what do you expect from people that were a Tory MP under Boris Johnson? Of course they're going to say this stuff. You're the bloke that let
We
1
actually
million people
delivered-
in a year.
we actually
right?
delivered
You're the one
Brexit.
that gave us 10% inflation, for goodness sake. That is why you had a Labour landslide.
Sorry,
That's why you've got
I'm
400 Labour
not one for
Because-
defending the Tories, but inflation...
nor am I, actually.
Inflation was
Was
running
down.
riot. And you mentioned Liz Truss earlier about interest rates. Interest rates and inflation was running riot all over the world. America...
It was worse here.
America
Much
didn't
worse.
Brexit.
No, it wasn't.
Going
It
down
wasn't. It was
here.
higher in the
And
United
it's now
States.
going
No, it
up.
wasn't. It was never
Inflation
12%.
It wasn't.
is going
Interest
up.
rates were high. Interest rates were higher in the United States.
were talking about
When
inflation.
Liz Truss came into power, you had a situation where interest rates in the United States were double the rates of the Bank of England. Let me ask you a question. If you had a bit of money you wanted to save up, would you put it in pounds at half the interest rate, or the global reserve currency, the dollar, at twice the interest rate here in the UK? The Bank of England were asleep at the wheel. They've destroyed our economy by pumping money in through quantitative easing. They are the ones who were responsible for that interest rate.
And then they
bump.
stitched up Liz Truss. A quick message here from Eddie Langford. You remember. Good evening, Eddie. Welcome along. You've said, hi, Ben. Keir Starmer's lost the plot. Nigel Farage will be the next Prime Minister of the UK. Everyone
With
now
what shadow
will
cabinet?
be voting for reform. Sorry, what shadow cabinet?
You know, he has
have
pretty
one
basic
in 4
questions
years'
to
time.
answer. You know, we don't know where he stands on most things because he's just become a populist. He's acting
Are
like a
you kidding?
1970s Labour politician
Stop
saying
it,
he'll
stop
nationalise
it.
everything.
When people like you say populist, it really makes me cross. Populism is not a bad thing.
Not an insult.
Populism means
Not in a
that
democracy.
it's popular with the people in the country. It's not
Exactly.
a bad thing
No.
to be populist.
No, populist means that you're giving easy answers without explanations
doesn't.
that you can't
No,
carry
it
through.
really doesn't.
We saw it with Boris Johnson, the bloke that bought the apparently disastrous fisheries deal that you lot introduced, that now you're complaining about.
It was a transitional deal. Keir Starmer has signed up for 12 years. He will, in one signature on a document, has signed the death knell to our entire fishing industry. How, as someone who has sympathies towards a party that, you know, alleges that it represents working people, how can you say to communities in Blackpool, in Grimsby, around the coast in this country, that a Labour government has signed away their future, and not just their future, the future of their children, a Labour government? How can
But it
you
wasn't,
sit here and defend that?
It wasn't, was it? Because you said you worked on the negotiations. Was that
It's
the deal that
a
Boris Johnson
four-year
fought for?
transition period. This
Did
has
you work on the
signed
deal?
away the
Was it the
future
Boris Johnson
for over
deal?
a
That's fine.
decade.
Was it the Boris Johnson deal that you were involved with? You
Yeah, it
mentioned
was,
earlier.
yeah.
So the deal that introduced this quota, you worked on, and
Yes.
are now
Yes,
saying it's
Benjamin.
For
destroying
4 years
communities.
as a transition.
Benjamin, I think you're...
I remember earlier where you said Boris Johnson had introduced a border in the North Sea. I didn't want to correct it. It's actually allegedly the Irish Sea. So I'm not quite sure that your tracking of the Brexit deal is quite to be relied on.
Can we just be clear? I'm not sure you quite... Maybe the bright jumper's clouding your judgment, but this fishing
The
deal
Giles Brandreth
signed by
from
Boris
GBNews.
Johnson was due to expire next year, in less than a year, actually.
And that would have thrown
Which
us
would
into
have given,
chaos.
as
It
I said...
wouldn't.
Which would have
It would
given...
have-
Hang on, let me finish.
That would be choppy waters.
Just calm down, dear, for 1 second. Would have given British fishermen the right to keep every piece of cod and halibut and whatever for themselves. What's happened today is that they've extended it, as you well know, for 12 years into the mid-2030s. So you're calling it a Boris Johnson deal. That wasn't the deal. Boris
it's a
Johnson's
Starmer deal.
expired in January.
And I'll tell you what the reality of this is. I'm a very keen fisherman. Is the British mackerel stock... The British mackerel stock, fantastic fish, beautiful fish, has been absolutely decimated by industrial trawlers coming from Spain, removing, literally in terms of pounds sterling, billions of pounds of fish from our sea and then selling it back to us. Now, if you go mackerel fishing anywhere in the Irish Sea now, you are very lucky to catch one fish. You used to catch them. They are destroying our oceans and our
I love
ecosystem,
mackerel.
our seas
So
around
the
Britain.
mackerel I get from the supermarket now, where does that come from?
Well, I don't know. You have to look at the packet. A lot of it
But, you know,
is caught in
Can I just
Britain,
point
but by
out-
Spanish
The thing that has-
industrial trawlers.
The thing that has rattled Starmer tonight is because Nigel Farage came out today in the wake of his Brexit deal and said, I will dismantle all this if you make me Prime Minister. I will take it all down. I will undo the treaties. I will take the sea back. And that's what's rattled him tonight, because a lot of people have jumped on and said, right, we're voting reform now. That's what's
Yeah, he thought...
The reality is that most of the fish found in British seas is sold into the EU, not at home, and this makes that easier. But, you know, you can see why we had stagnation for so many years, because they'll find a fault and a complaint and moan about everything and fix nothing. And that's what Keir Starmer is doing.
You're describing Starmer.
Okay.
Mr. Fix-It.